Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women Entrepreneurs Living Child-Free. Tiffanie Kellog, your hostess here, and I am excited to be joined from across the pond. Celeste, welcome so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. It is such a delight to be here. Thank you.
And where are you joining us from?
I am joining you from a little country across the pond called the United Kingdom.
So we're United States and United Kingdom. So we're united across the pond. Anyway, so I'm super excited to have Céleste, the Empress of Trademarks, and we're going to get to that in a minute. However, you know we like to start off with our fun facts. So Céleste was I don't know that this is a fun fact. So something nobody knows about or may not know about Céleste. She was diagnosed with dyslexia immediately after earning her master's in law at age 41. How many languages does she speak now? And how did this limitation actually become a superpower for you now?
So I only speak 6 languages and
only
only 4 of them though are fluent. The rest are the 2 others they are just sort of kind of conversational.
So what languages? We have to know which ones are you fluent in and which ones are conversational.
All right. My mother tongue, which is Danish, is of course fluent. Swedish, which I call my father tongue jokingly because my father was half Swedish and I'm 1/4 Swedish. I'm also fluent in Swedish. French is the next one, and I could call it my aunt's language, but that doesn't make sense. It's not nearly as fun as the other 2. And I lived in Paris for 2 years. So then English is my 4th language, and those are the fluent ones.
And which ones are you not fluent in yet?
Italian and Spanish.
Gotcha. Do you find that there's a lot of similarities, or is it there's too similar, but they're very different?
I love all the Latin languages because they are very similar, and you can actually quite fast understand one if you understand the other 2, or one or the other. Or yeah, I have 3 of them, but yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, put on that same foundation. Very cool. Now, how have you used this limitation as your superpower?
Intellectual property the dyslexia has made me understand intellectual property on such a profound and vast and deep level that I am actually in the process of publishing a book on all the intellectual properties, and it has 9 major jurisdictions in it. So that's how the limitation has become a superpower for me.
So tell us a little bit about this Céleste, the Empress of Trademarks, and all of that and what you do. And because you also boast of a very impressive 100% acceptance rate. So I think we have to hear the caveat for that, because I think sometimes people don't pay attention to what's being said. But this makes a huge difference, y'all. So tell us.
It really does. So the reason I have an unbroken track record of 100% registered trademarks is because I'm not afraid to say no to the ones that are irregistrable. And that is actually a word that I made up myself a few years ago in a Clubhouse conversation with someone, and they loved it and I love it, and I've been using it ever since. And I, of course, claim copyright to it.
Nice. So tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do, how it is that you do it.
So when somebody comes to me wanting to have me register their trademark for them, I assess that through a 90-minute strategy session. And if I, at the end of that sessions, have come to realize that actually what they have is irregistrable, then I will let them know, and then I will point them in directions so that it can be solved, so that they don't have to faff around on their own in the dark, not knowing where to go, not knowing what to do, because we don't know everything on this planet. Of course we don't. We have our areas of specialism. Intellectual property happens to be mine. Yours is something different. So, you know, it's about to become registered as a trademark. No, all right, let's go in that direction or in that direction, and then come back and then keep moving.
So it sounds like a lot of people probably think they can trademark just about anything. And it sounds like, based on what you're saying, that it's not just as easy as saying, hey, I want a trademark, here's my money, go.
That's absolutely correct, because if that were the case, there would be situations where there were trademarks that would hamper normal conversation. I mean, there is actually one recent trademark from last year that should never, ever have been accepted. I don't know why it got accepted. And it's dev mode, which means development mode in coding, in website development and website, if you understand what I mean. And that actually should never have been accepted as a trademark because it's not distinctive. It is just part of the language that is used by developers when they are developing something dev mode, hence the name, dev mode. So yeah, that ought to have been rejected.
So sometimes it can go through, huh?
Yeah. And it's really strange that it did go through, as I mentioned, because it is, so it went through in America, and they're trying to make it go through in other in countries in the European Union, and they won't accept it because it's not distinctive. So it's really important that once you have something that you want to register as your trademark, it has to be distinctive. If it's not distinctive, then it's not coming through. Shouldn't, except for that dev mode. And I'm hoping that that is going to be the only one ever in history that gets accepted that way, because it ought not to set a precedent for completely generic sentences or expressions or words or what have you to become registered as trademarks, because that's not what it's there for.
Gotcha. So do me a favor, tell me a little bit about why would I want to register a trademark? What would drive me to want to do that? What's kind of the, do I do it? Do I not do it? As well as like the beginning steps of the conversation. Kind of walk us through the basics. So then we're going to be like, oh yeah, that's way too much, and help.
Yeah. So once you have created something, some kind of service that you have developed that is truly your own, that you have put your thumbprint on, and you see that it has value, and you are perhaps already serving clients in that way, and you are wanting to ensure that nobody else copies you and plagiarizes you and all that. And then also, what is really important to know and understand is this is not a business expense. This is a question about business longevity, which means that once you invest in it, your business can virtually last indefinitely, because that's what a trademark can. It can exist virtually indefinitely, because copyright is 70 years after your death. Copyright is protected your whole entire life. However, after 70 years after your death, there's no copyright protection, whereas the trademark, that can exist virtually indefinitely as long as somebody is around to see the value of the brand and the trademark. And so, for instance, there is an ale here in the UK called Bass Ale. That trademark was the first one in history that got registered. It is still around to this day.
And I was going to say, we have Bass that comes over here in the US. That was the first registered trademark?
Yes, in history.
I love that it's beer.
Isn't that
interesting? Love it.
And do you know who gave us the copyright legislation? Which was, of course, the beginning of all the intellectual property. Do you know who that was? No, that was Queen Anne, and she is so underestimated in history. It's so interesting. So the British Queen Anne, she's my favorite queen, by the way, because she gave us the Intellectual Property Foundation, which is the copyright legislation.
That's nice. Yeah, I knew about the 70 years because it's always interesting, because somebody's like, was one time like, why are all the Christmas songs the same? And I'm like, well, because they're open IP and anyone can use them at this point in time. And they work. But I did not think about, the trademark and keeping it ongoing and longevity of it.
Yeah, and a patent you can only protect for 20 years. So, you know, these things fall away. That's why all of the intelligent big conglomerates out there, you have Apple, you have medical companies, they all have copyrights, patents, trademarks, design, trade dress, all of that covered. And the best thing is the trademark, because you can renew it every 10 years. Boom, 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 boom. In Canada, though, it's every 15 years.
The Canadians wanted to be nicer and give you longer, yes. I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what kind of clients do you typically work with? I know it's probably across the board, but tell me like 2 or 3 of your favorite.
Well, I mean, one of my absolute favorites is this guy who is building his own, I guess you would call it, amusement park. It is built on the Norse mythology, and I registered his trademark, and I don't know how far he's gotten with it because we're not that much in touch these days, unfortunately, because he did say that, you know, once he got going, he would have me do the trademarks in other areas. So I don't know what's happening with that, but it was really fun and it was really interesting. I have also helped coaches, and there was one in Denmark, one lady who has created a network for job seekers.
A network for
job seekers?
Oh, nice. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So you can see it's not just one type, it's a lot of different. It just depends on what it is that people have and what they are wanting to protect, really.
Yeah. So you mentioned Denmark, but something really interesting is happening in Denmark. And for those of you that aren't as up on current events, because I know the basic stuff. So this was news to me. Something interesting going on. You want to tell us about it?
Oh, absolutely. Because Denmark is about to make a massive amendment to their copyright legislation. It is paragraph 73A. And what that does is that it actually protects the entire human being against deep fakes. So that is really, really big and massive. And we are expecting the rest of the European Union to follow suit, because they always do. Denmark is always on the cutting edge and the forefront of these things. And as soon as this is ratified, it will take a little while, and then the European Union will follow suit. And Denmark also works legislation-wise with both Norway and Sweden, so they will probably adopt it sooner, because they always do. And then you will see the rest of the European Union catching up, and then it's a question about the rest of the world catching up. And it's just a matter of how fast they will be doing that, because they will, of course, understand that once the European Union does it, bam, that means it's really serious. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, wow. And, you know, it's such an interesting time. You know, did they ever imagine, you know, did Queen Anne ever imagine that it would be, okay, let's be protecting, like, you know, people faking that you were, like, who would have ever thought some of the things that the world has created for us? It's absolutely mind-blowing sometimes.
Yes, it is completely mind-blowing. And I'm so proud to be of Danish origin because of the way that the Danish people move on these things, because they don't sit and they don't procrastinate. They just decide, boom, we're moving, let's go. And the really, really interesting thing is there has been almost unanimity in the entire political arena on this.
Nice. That does not happen often, at least not here in the States.
And not in Denmark either.
Okay. So they're all, and like,
I don't think in the UK either. So
it's nice when it's like we can agree on, hey, this is not what we want.
There's another thing actually that Denmark is I don't know if they have ratified it yet, but they have considered making it illegal for children below 15 to access the internet, because they feel that the children's childhood is being robbed from them. And that is a really interesting stance to take, And of course, there will be situations where they can still access. It's just that those of us who grew up without the internet, we had a completely different experience, didn't we? And we didn't have all that selfie. I have to capture myself the whole time. I have to be on social media. No. It was much calmer back then. We didn't know any better. We grew up without the internet,
Yeah, I think the internet. I was 16 when we got the internet, so I'm in that edge of that era. I'm a late gen. I'm not a millennial. I'm a late whatever I am. I
Gen X, I think.
Yeah,
I think I'm a Gen X.
Yeah, so I'm like at the very back end of the Gen X, but yeah, I grew up without the internet, but it came out when I was still in school, so I kind of learned on it, but it is a very different world. And it's an interesting thing that parents have to deal with of when their kids can go on the internet. And Celeste, that is not a question that you and I deal with in our household on a daily basis, because one thing that we have in common, part of the reason that we are here today is because I'm here interviewing another amazing woman entrepreneur living child free. And if you are like me and Celeste, you should come out to our next event. It is always the third Tuesday of the month. We meet from 11:05 Eastern to 12:55 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes people are like, why the 5 minutes before and after? Because most people schedule to the hour. And I want people to have a moment to breathe. And then let's come and network. And I know you were at the meeting last month. What did you think of this group, Celeste?
I have to admit that I absolutely love this group because we are child free and we're celebrating being child free. And it can be so, I'm not going to say depressing because that's not the correct term, but it can be hard being always judged. Why don't you have children? Don't you like children? It's the underlying thing is, don't you like children? And it's got nothing to do with that. It's just that there are some of us who don't have children, and there's nothing wrong with us. We're just different in that we don't have children, and we don't have to talk about children. We don't have to make allowances for them barging in on online conversations or anything like that. We are celebrating that we are child free, and it's such a relief to be a member of your group. Can I just say that?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sometimes I talk to people and they're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, I understand, because I didn't know child free was a thing and I was living in that. But now that I found it, I'm like, and I like kids. I am fine. Like I was, my first job, I don't know if it was my first job, but at 10, I was babysitting because that's the era I grew up in.
Yeah. Babysitting. We've all done that.
Yeah. I was 10 years old taking care of my 7 and 5-year-old siblings. Nowadays, kids are like, they're 15.
I was 9 taking care of my 10. Well, he was 10 years younger than me, little brother.
Yeah. So it's just such a funny thing. But yes, it is. And y'all, it's not about, we don't really talk that much about parents or kids or child free or whatnot. It is about, let's get together and focus on the business. Now, if you're like, but Tiffanie, the third Tuesday, yes, which is St. Patrick's this year, which yes, I need to make sure that we're having some kind of celebration, at least in green. So it's not going to be, right now. So if you wanted to, in the meantime, come hang out with us on our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/women entrepreneurs living child free, or just search women entrepreneurs living child free. You will find us where we are at. Now, while we are online, Celeste does have a free quiz for us. So you want to tell us about this free quiz? And wherever y'all are watching this, the link is in the description, wherever you are. So I know it's here on the screen, and it's in the description.
Yes. So this is a quiz that you can take so that you can assess where you are. Are you in the launchpad phase, where you are just sort of kind of getting ready, or are you in the momentum phase where you are seeing that momentum is building, or are you in the legacy phase and you actually have to move really fast? That's what this quiz helps you assess. It is less than 10 minutes and it's really fun. And the people who have taken it have all enjoyed it. So go ahead and do yourself and your business a favor by taking that quiz.
Love it. Love it. And if we're looking to just connect with you, how do we do that?
Oh, I am easiest to find on LinkedIn. I don't have access to Facebook anymore. Unfortunately, I don't have access to Instagram either. So LinkedIn is the place to find me. And you can just put in the Empress of Trademarks and I come up.
That makes it pretty easy. For sure. Y'all, it has been a pleasure today as we've connected with another amazing woman entrepreneur living child-free. And as always, I have to wrap up with, okay, Celeste, what is it that we have to know before we go? What's that one last thing you want to leave us with?
I want you to think of everything that you build and create as something that has real honest value in this world, and that deserves protection for the longevity of the business, and so that you know that the business is safe as visibility grows, as traction starts to kick in. Your business will be safe, and that is just so important. So that's what I want to share.
Celeste, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your unparalleled 100%. Y'all, I said earlier that she was boasting of it, and she proved it for us. So I think a lot of times I love the fact of let's not go through the process if it's not going to get approved. And I'd much rather say, let's fix it before we waste our time, energy, and effort. So y'all, if you're thinking about, ooh, what do I want to trademark? How do I do this? What would it even take? Reach out to Celeste. Join us, for those of you that are child-free women, on the the third Tuesday of every month. And for the rest of y'all, have an amazing Friday and